its maritime border dispute with Kenya to the United Nations top court, the International Court of Justice, which is based in The Hague. Now, the case filed yesterday is expected to heavily influence the fate of the potentially lucrative oil and gas reserves off the Kenyan coast. KTN's Noah Otieno reports.
A dispute that has been simmering for years between Kenya and Somalia is now before the judges at the International Court of Justice, a court whose jurisdiction both Kenya and Somalia have accepted. This is the center of the conflict between the neighbors. Somalia insists that Kenya has stubbornly encroached into her international waters by misinterpreting the direction of the borderline along the Indian Ocean coast. Kenya allegedly sees the borderline extending in a straight line into the ocean, giving Kenya about 100,000 square kilometers of very lucrative territory. Somalia says Kenya is claiming more than her fair share, insisting instead that the borderline should extend southeastwards, giving almost the same size of territory back to Somalia. This battle is not just about the water or the land. Already, Kenya, Somalia, and international investors are convinced that the area is potentially rich in oil and gas deposits. Even though some big investors have been reluctant to get into the exploration for the resources due to lack of clarity on which country legally owns the territory, some brave ones have allegedly already been given exploration contracts by the Kenyan government. This is at the center of the court case at the ICJ.
In the near future.
In a statement released by the court last evening, Somalia is requesting the court to determine, on the basis of international law, the complete course of the Indian Ocean borderline between Kenya and Somalia. Somalia says all diplomatic negotiations have failed to resolve the disagreement. Although cases at the ICJ can take years to conclude, the court, which is the United Nations highest court, is highly respected and its decision would be firmly binding. Now, KTN News Desk.
Actually, it's KTN Friday Briefing, but I get confused too. It's now time for our guest anchors. This evening, two gentlemen who are also quite popular. I don't know what's going on today, just famous people on the set. How are you? Ekodida, Juliani. Ekodida, I know you've just walked in, pole sana, najua unapumua. Catch your breath, ni sawa tu. Juliani, how are you this evening?
I'm good.
Would you consider yourself a gospel artist? People label you that all the time, but is that what you really are primarily?
Yeah, 2005 I got born again,
yeah.
So that's the most important part of that whole story.
So talk to me about that transformation, because we remember you from Ukoflani Mau Mau and you were so hard.
You remember?
I remember. Wow, Bila Dreads. You were just there. Yeah.
But I mean, the whole difference is that we keep asking ourselves questions. We want to know more about ourselves. We want to know where are we going if we die, or what is the plan for us when you're young. So most of the time you get friends to advise and kila kitu. But of course, the best and easiest way of doing it is just go to your maker and ask them. So that's how I got born again.
So Ekodida, is this the same story for you? First of all, Ekodida, the first conversation I have with him, he calls me ghetto girl. And then he says to me, Shambamba. And it completely disarms me. It's good to have you and to finally meet you.
Shambamba.
Shambamba. So tell us about your journey into gospel music. What made you get into gospel?
Niliokoka nikiwa class 4, so sikuwa na alternative. Nilikuwa lazima nifanye gospel.
Class 4 ulikuwa una understand kuokoka ni nini?
God ni amazing. Yoko hata mtu kuna wengine waliokokea ndani ya tumbo. So God ni amazing. Njia zake ni za ajabu. Na yeye ukamia kila mtu na time yake na design yake. So mimi nilikamia nikiwa class 4, hata sijui aje nili understand tu your story. Nambako leo. Na si story na goosebumps ni nini? Unakuwa too conscious.
Okay, so ukaokoka ukiwa class 4. So at what point did you decide utakuwa gospel artist? Utakuwa artist, never even mind gospel artist.
Nilikuwa tu gospel automatic. Nikiwa form 3. Nikiwa chuo form 3 Sili High School.
Alafu nyimbo zako za first zilikuwa poa ama they were just like, oh no, when you listen to them now?
Nikiwa
maybe quality ilikuwa mbaya. Zimetengenezwa pale chini madhari hapo.
Bende na gotia stage 24 jo madhari North Valley asio.
So huko ndio ulikuwa unatengenezea music.
Studio yetu ya kwanza ilikuwa inaitwa Timam Records. Jojo alikuwa atoa mzuka timam, lakini Jojo anataka ngoma unaenda nao mtaani after hapo show inatoka 3 piece.
Ina sound vitu different.
Audio
yani
na tracks zinatokea yani hakuna unison si ngoma.
Okay, so from there, that Timam Studios to where you are today, I mean, you're an award-winning musician. Everyone probably knows you in the gospel industry. How ulitokaje sasa Timam Records to Kidero on KTN Friday Briefing?
Grace ya God ni sufficient. God anakuwa na shortcut na mashimo zake.
But kuna mtu mwenye ameketi home anasema, okay, me I'm just waiting for the grace of God. How does that work?
Trust and obey. You know point.
Yeye ndio za urasta ati most time. Oh, you know, but I think what he's trying to say is that
what he's trying to say?
What he's trying to say, because I know a little bit about his story, but one of the things that people assume is that you're just a musician. They don't understand the hard working part. They don't get the practicing every day unapiga tizi. And he used to tell me alikuwa na krama lyrics zangu yani kwa hao unajua.
Ni kweli. So hata nilikuwa na picha yako actually
kwa ukuta
inspiration.
I'm not that si mzee hivyo.
But ilikuwa ni fact. Unajua nilikuwa nashangazana kuona ati kuna rap na Sheng kwanza gospel. Unajua? Ilikuwa inanigusa.
Okay, so when you guys are done having your conversation.
Okay. So it's hard work and it's process, but also you have to, the beautiful part of God ile na come in up with that, you have to have a vision of the end. He gives you a vision of what he wants you to achieve, and that's why every one of us is here. We are set. Umejua hivi kulikuwa na crypto dollar na these are times modern prophets, unajua, through music and through this other new media and everything.
Okay, Giuliani, I want us to pursue you specifically because you have taken your music and you have turned it into a business. Yeah. You're being endorsed by brands, or you're endorsing brands. Yeah. You're having shows across the country all year round. Yeah. And people know you as being more than an artist. You're an activist. All these deliberate steps that you took. Juzi, you were in Asha Mwilu's story, who's also going to have a story today, talking about the Constitution. Very few people do that. How did you get to this point?
I think the most important, and I keep saying this, is about, I understand my mandate, I understand who I am and whom I am. Everything that I am right now is not. I'm not surprised. Is what gave me, is promises that God gave me before. But also, I like working hard. I like seeing results. So most of the
when you say working hard, what does it mean? There's a perception, Kidero, let's get to you, that people who do gospel are automatically going to be successful. Ni ukweli ama ni uongo?
Ni ukweli.
Ni ukweli?
Ni ukweli kwa sababu actually kama unafanya gospel, then definitely unafanya na Christ, and you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Au sio? Wow.
Umevuta nini leo buna? You have done the Holy Spirit.
So, and then there are people who say there are, like we spoke here with Dr. Kraflo, they're false prophets. So are there false gospel musicians?
I think if hata sahi ukichekia Adidas, there is fake Adidas and fake Beats by Dre. So that doesn't matter as long as people want answers right now. People want answers. People want to make sense out of their lives. So the most important thing is that the people who are supposed to reach out to them sometimes get relaxed and leave the weeds and everybody else to come in and take that space and that vacuum. So I think, but also what Kidero said was very important when he said that people work out your own salvation with trembling and fear. If you were born again by the blood of Christ and by His Spirit, you're supposed to go out of your way and find out the truth.
Okay, but let's talk about people who are not born again, who are looking at you right now and they're listening to you and they're looking to draw inspiration from you. Yeah. What do you say to them?
I think at the end of the day, everybody will be born again. Everybody has that void apple. You want somebody to listen to. You want somebody to, you want answers. So the only place you can go to is to your God. So the best thing that you can do even today, even right now, you just kneel wherever you are, or even stand or do whatever. Ask God. You just need answers, and do that every day, and you'll be. I guarantee you that you'll get those answers.
Sawa, kabla tuende kufanya story. Kidero, how did you start singing like that? Nini ndio ilikufanya uanze kuimba hivyo? Watu walikuwa nasema you are a stammerer. Is this true?
Unasikia hata si stammer. But nilikuwa na mabesti wana stammer. Hiyo ni one. So by default nikiwa copy tu ikahappen nikakuwa na stammer kidogo nikibonga. But kustammer as a music style, nakumbuka nilikuwa nimeenda studio nikakosa opportunity ya kurecord. Juu nilikuwa na sound ka watu wengi wenye wajulikani na wale wanajulikana. So ilikuwa ni wanataka nikuwe artist moja akae ni kama amefanya collab kwa ngoma yake. Album ningefanya album ingekanika ni collab watu wengi. So nilikuwa na sound different. Then wakaniambia eno tafuta style moja.
Sasa ulipataje?
So basically kutoka hapo ndo nikaenda Kejani nikauliza God jo kani kushrab watu wengine wanaifanya. Kani fanya nini watu wengine wanaifanya. So idea ni then nikatrust kwa God and eventually nakumbuka kuna siku tu niliamka nikajiuliza what if best yangu anaitwa Katrina. Big up Katrina mali yako. What if Katrina angekuwa anaandika hivi verse yenda angekuwa anaimba. Nikaanza kustama. Je ustama. So basically hivyo ndo nilianza kustama.
And here
you are funny nilikuwa nacheka mimi mwenyewe.
Groove Award winners, both of you actually, right? Actually at some point you were in the same category. So business inakuanga competitive, gospel industry. Ukiandika song unaona wow, I need to make sure that my song is at the top of the list. Hizo thoughts ziko hapo ama you just write to minister?
Mjibama tu basically juu. Waligoda wamekutoa hata kuna time ya compare. Ndio ukikumbuka yani hiyo time uko na compete na mtu kiwa hapo na kasturungi kako. Sasa unaanza compete kwa nini? Sasa ile God ameshakufikisha mali umepata award already. Mbona ufikire juu award?
Okay, I like that. But Juliani, your music is changing. It's becoming very conscious. And you know what I mean when I say that. So how do you think it's going to impact people who listen to? Do you really think it's going to have an effect?
It has to, and before I write music, I have to be conscious about what I write and the expected result. I have to always see what I have to expect something out of it. So, and also it has to target a certain demographic. So my music is more of what is happening, what's going on around me. And of course with a taste of faith every time.
Okay, yeah. I'm being told that we're running out of time, so kuja na mimi tafadhali because you know this demographic tukasome taarifa ya habari.
Buda. Kizungu. Noma.
Ya kizungu chunga tu.
Utakaa hapo. And then you will look at cam 2.
Cam 2.
Yeah, camera 2 is that one.
Okay.
You sit down properly kama watu wa news. Pretend ulikuwa na jacket.
I hope you kurap.
Ukitaka kuirap unaweza irap. Uangalie camera 2, you introduce yourself, utuambie wewe ni nani, unafanya nini hapa, and then you read the story on the auto cue.
Ladies and gentlemen, like this is Giuliani, and of course I'm here to read for you the news that is before you. Okay, so I'll read it. So in this digital age, many of the world's iconic record stores have closed their doors. Where does all that vinyl go? Many classic LPs are ending up in Brazil, where 1 million music enthusiasts has built the world's biggest collection of music discs. Take a look. Your pose.
Let's now have a look at business, and we begin with energy, where the government is in consultations with the African Development Bank to inject about 70 billion shillings to support last-mile electricity connections to households in readiness for cheaper power in the next 2 months. Now, the current electricity connectivity fee stands at 35,000 shillings, an amount that is far from reach for many Kenyans. But with support from AFDB, the fee will reduce to 10,000 shillings. Charles Kitonga has more.
Kenyans will soon get reprieve of the high cost of electricity connection to their homes. Cabinet Secretary for Energy Davis Chirchir says that the government is in talks with the African Development Bank to fund the last mile connectivity to households in a deal worth 70 billion shillings. This could see potential consumers get electricity connection to their homes at 10,000 shillings in a move expected to connect at least 1 million households to the national grid by the end of the current financial year.
So if we are able to bring down the cost of connectivity by ensuring that the network passes very closely to our homes, we'll be able to then connect another 35-36% to bring the connectivity to 75,000.
Lower connection fee is expected to increase demand for electricity, even as the government works towards loading 5,000 megawatts to the grid in the next 5 years, with the first 280 megawatts being commissioned in 2 months. By December, the government expects to have cut the cost of power by 25% and by 40% by February next year.
We're not just doing this for the domestic economy. We want industry, both those who are manufacturing and those who want to look at Kenya as a competitive destination, to basically take the advantage of the cost of power in Kenya.
The government is spending a further 11 billion shillings to connect about 6,000 public primary schools across the country to the national grid. This is part of ongoing efforts to create demand for the expected huge amounts of power so as to ensure lower cost of energy.
We generated 5,000 additional power and put on the grid. We must look at the demand side.
The ongoing heavy investments in power are also in the hope of wooing investors to the country through competitive pricing of electricity. Charles Gitonga, KTN Business.
We keep it energy, and in a move that is set to improve air quality and reduce vehicle emissions, the government has officially begun its transition to low sulfur diesel with sulfur content of 50 parts per million. This comes as the 5 East African countries agreed to adopt cleaner fuel standards by January of 2015. The move is part of a United Nations Environment Programme initiative to promote cleaner and more efficient fuels and vehicles in developing countries. The campaign aims to reduce sulfur emissions while adopting cleaner vehicle standards. Now, the Petroleum Institute of East Africa is leading the regional campaign to find solutions to the global warming challenge.
Today we are just here to ensure that we have all our ducks in a row, to ensure that we comply with these new specifications, and to ensure that all the stakeholders are aware of this development, and to also ensure that we address other issues that will now emerge now that we have done our bit in terms of ensuring that we have cleaner fuels available. We also need to ensure that other stakeholders do their bit in terms of ensuring that we have clean vehicles.
After 5 long years, the government finalized the first of the more than 24 planned privatizations that were approved in 2009. The state has sold a 26% stake of Qual, held by ICDC, to South African firm Distel Group, and a further 4% to staff. And the state says it now wants to hasten the process that will see it divest its major stake in the other 23 firms. Adelaide Changole has more.
In 2009, Parliament approved the government's plan to privatize 24 state corporations in a bid to mobilize resources for additional investments. But since then, there has been little progress in the process to actually divest the government's stake in the firms.
The transactions have taken quite long.
But there is finally light at the end of the tunnel as government today finalized the sale of a 26% stake in the Kenya Wine Agency Limited to South Africa's Distel Group.
This is the first privatization transaction since the Safaricom in 2007.
The deal will see Distel take up 26% stake in Qual, while the firm's employees will get a 4% stake.
We believe that we can make a meaningful contribution towards realizing Kenya's social and economic goals.
In the meantime, Rotich says the state will soon be concluding negotiations on the rest of the farms earmarked for privatization. Among these are the 5 sugar millers, which he says must be privatized before February next year, when the COMESA safeguards, which have been extended 3 times, come to an end.
The extension of COMESA is coming to an end in February 2015, and it's very critical that we complete the restructuring of our sugar industry in readiness to compete.
But investors want the state to reduce the bureaucratic roadblocks that have impeded the process of privatization so far. Citing the 5-year-long negotiation between Distel and Qual, they say the drawn-out process can be frustrating for those in the private sector.
Your laws are very anti-business in whole. You block us from doing and accessing opportunities when they arise.
Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
A look now at the sports, and we begin with good news where World Junior 800 meters champion Margaret Nyairera eased to victory at the Brookside East Africa School Games after beating an equally star-studded at the Dar es Salaam National Stadium. Alfred Ngeno led a 1-2 finish for Kenya in the boys' 5,000 meters, and Victor Ogala reports on yet another day of harvest for Kenya.
The Brookside East Africa Secondary School Championship, brought to you by Brookside. Brookside, nurturing sporting talent.
The name Margaret Nyairera gained instant prominence in Kenya after the T2 secondary student won the 800 meters gold at the World Junior Championships in Oregon, USA. And on her arrival in Tanzania, a country not so synonymous with athletics, she still commanded attention more so in the games village and in the field. Nyairera's international heroics on track was extended as she eclipsed the opposition in the girls' 800 meters in a time of 2 minutes, 0.1 seconds. Uganda's Esther Chebet and Margaret Chelimo of Kenya finished second and third respectively.
Naambia tu ni kushida kwa sababu pia nataka kutengeneza jina.
The boys picked up from where their sisters left on Thursday in the 5,000 meters race. The scorching Dar es Salaam sun almost delayed the plans of Africa junior cross-country silver medalist Andrew Lorot and Alfred Ngeno. However, it was the Chibara boys Form 4 student Alfred Ngeno who won the race in a time of 13 minutes 58.7 seconds, while Lorot settled for silver. Kenya also had an easy ride in the short races, with Kipyegon, Bet and Daniel Karwen winning silver and gold respectively in 800 meters, while Lorot High School's Ivan Sorono settled for silver in 200 meters. Moko girls student Maximila Imali won the women's equivalent, with Uganda's Apio Agnes second, while Janet Maig of Tanzania won bronze. With only 2 days to go to the close of the East Africa Secondary School Games, Kenya is still leading on the medal standings, with a large chunk of the medals coming from the Kenyan team. Victor Ogale, KTN, at the Dar es Salaam National Stadium, Tanzania.
Commonwealth and Africa 5,000 meters champion Caleb Mwangangi was among last night's big winners at the Zurich Diamond League, which is one of the series finals. Mwangangi won the 5,000 meters race in 13.71 seconds to bag the $50,000 Diamond League prize money, as well as a Diamond League trophy. 800 meter record holder David Rudisha fell yet again to Botswanan Nigel Amos. It's time to wind up this edition of Friday Briefing, but this gentleman, mmeambiwa mfanya collaboration tafadhali.
KTN ina sponsor nini? The Standard Media. Unaona?
Ndio dere ni kurkut.
Yani najua.
Okay, but there's somebody who's asked me Ekodida niwaulize both of you as we wind up. What are some of the challenges that you face kwa hii business ya gospel? Because it seems as though huwezi fanya mistake. The day you make one mistake, it's all over the newspapers. People are saying Ekodida is not saved anymore. How can a man of God do that? Is this one of the challenges? Ama nimeguess tu.
Hiyo si challenge. Don't challenge.
Yes, challenge. I think the main challenge, talking about the whole music industry in Kenya, that one of the things that we need to look into is more of financing, so investment from other people from outside, or invest.
So who is meant to invest?
Investors, people like corporates, people think that that to put up a video, to put up a song, you need money. So the kind of money that we have right now, I will scale up, ufanye good things, ufanye tour. Of course we are trying, and I've been doing that for a while now, corporates and everything, but it's supposed to be kila mtu, not just a few people, since they can hustle better than the other people. So I think you need to try to focus on investment so that we can build industry, employment, yani ya kila mtu yani.
Okay.
Na challenge major. Ni Airplay.
Airplay.
Siku hizi tunatumia YouTube sana.
Unajua? Standard Media.
Giuliani, you can't even say that. You cannot even say that.
I'm joking.
But very final question, Ekodida, where do you see, ukinyamaza hivi unasema, in the next 5 years nataka kuona hii music industry ikiwa at this place? Your place ni wapi?
Uliza Giuliani kwanza, acha nifikirie.
Okay.
I think
we're winding up.
Okay. I think personally, Benjamin, of course the industry will be good because we're investing money and we are getting other people investing. Itakuwa poa sana. But for me, more of I want to contribute more into the ecosystem ya industry, and of course developing young people and mostly niko na hiyo passion sana sasa.
Sawa. Ekodida, jibu lako utatupatia on Twitter because ulisleki. Now we're out of time. Ekodida Giuliani, thank you very much for being on Friday Briefing this evening. But before we do wind up, we have the reform mirage for you. Asha Mwilu has been working on this for months, and she did bring you 2 series already, actually 3, and today she brings you the story of the police reforms. A lot was said when the new government was coming into power about what would happen and what wouldn't happen. Have they done enough? Asha Mwilu has the details, and we'll leave you with that. I'm Edith Kimani. You've been briefed.